Lead and Follow Life Lessons Through Dancing by Ryan Shanahan. Acknowledgements. This book is dedicated to my mother, Ray, who helped make dance a part of my life, and to my instructor and friend, Jay Offit, whose energy and character encouraged fun and exploration of the self through movement, combining wisdom with entertainment, and to dancers, who I hope will take time and thought to the ideas presented in this book, to encourage each of them to always explore their interests and actions with many ways of thinking. Within this method lies the basis for interpreting life lessons both in dance and in many other things. I offer my special thanks to my academic peers and friends who have studied with me, tutoring me in the ways of dance and life. Also thanks to the dance faculty at Brigham Young University, Idaho. Their talent and experience has given me greater understanding of dance as an art form, and clarity of concepts over a wide range of study related to dancing. Special thanks to the editors for their work and diligence, Desiree Freeman, Lisa Taylor, and Nikki Peterson. Foreword by Gary Larson. Essayist Robert Fulghum, in his well-known work Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten, addresses the topics of how to live and what to do and how to be. Wisdom, Fulghum states, is not gained at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sandbox at nursery school. In his clever and satirical way, Fulghum envisions a world in which we all play nicely with each other, clean up the messes we make, and then settle down for a nap after milk and cookies. In a similar fashion, R.K. Shanahan's Lead and Follow Life Lessons Through Dancing seeks to explore and demonstrate the lessons one learns, apart from the technical and artistic, while training their mind and body in the art of dance. Throughout his training and education in dance, Shanahan has come to know a great deal about himself, the world around him, and his place within it. Lead and Follow demonstrates a clear understanding of these principles, coupled with his desire to share those profound layers of meaning with others. The additional voices of his fellow dancers, colleagues, and legends in the fields of art and dance add a rich diversity to the insightful message. Significance will be found in the stories and ideas among individuals of all ages and backgrounds, dancers and non-dancers alike. Anyone who has worked hard to achieve success, or who has found themselves at odds with the limits of gravity and injury, will take away great meaning from Shanahan's work. Lovers of art and beauty will find as much within its pages. Within these pages one can see the process by which many have found a fulfilling passion for life and have added a far-reaching and immeasurable value to their existence. If you ask a dancer why they dance, you'll get a wide variety of responses. Some love to dance for the social aspect, others for the experience. Some wish to gain the ability and strength to become a professional. Others simply dance as a hobby or a distraction from their daily concerns. Each of those responses reflects innumerable motivations, intense and desired outcomes. However, if you ask a dancer what they have learned from dancing, you will begin to see something much more thought-provoking, and the journey only begins here. Gary J. Larson. Author's note. My first experience with dance instruction began as I was trying to make a place for myself in the world. I was already a grown man. I had already experienced several of life's challenges, and had decided on the direction my life should take. But in those first dance lessons, I found myself lacking a great deal. Still, I found instant enjoyment in the air of movements engaged in such simplistic activity. I was having fun, and the lessons challenged me in ways I honestly never thought I would be challenged with. I began to think that dancing was something worth learning, the mark of a gentleman and a cultured individual. If I could learn to dance, I'd have it all. But there was much to learn. Years have passed, and I still say there is much to learn. Dance isn't something that can be picked up overnight. There are many lessons to learn and discover. Among those that I have discovered is one that stuck out from the start. It is one that also got me started on collecting the life lessons of dance. How well dance is suited to teaching us about life. In this work, we will explore the lessons of dance and the role dance has played in shaping many lives, including my own. These lessons have commonalities which parallel our interactions with the world. Many art forms also share these commonalities with life, which we discover by participating in them. For example, it is very hard to see the parallels of life and dance instruction without dancing and learning about dance. Life is an enormous topic, but it is easy to speak about life when it is codified into a simpler context, such as within the boundaries of dance. This is because dance is something simple that has meant a great deal to many individuals. Life is full of lessons. They can be found anywhere and in anything. They are those moments of experience found in living that shape and define our current attitudes about our life and who we are. They often have a strong impact upon us, and for that reason they are remembered clearly for many years, and so shape us. We could ask ourselves how dance might fit in with life's day-to-day task of living. They don't seem to be related subjects, but some aspects of dance can be used in metaphor to illustrate certain aspects of living. Dance has been compared to many things and had much said about it. These comparisons range from the extreme to the thoughtful and enduring, to simple truths which, given the right thinking, can be found in many activities and art forms. These we will get into more throughout this work. Consider dance as a history, which extends back as far as ancient man, and exists in some form among every culture on the earth. In some eras of history, dance was banned for religious or social reasons. One in particular occurred in Europe we call the Dark Ages. Today we view dance in many ways. To some it is a heritage or a teacher. Others may call it a noble art, a fine escape, or a youthful commodity. But it can also be described as an exciting form of entertainment and something that lifts the spirits. Dance is still the oldest and most enduring form of recreation for any culture. Today, however, it is less prevalent than it has been historically, due in part to the availability of other popular distractions. Spurred on by the media and combined with innovation in new technologies, children and adults have access to numerous new toys and gadgets, and no longer spend a lot of time learning to dance as they once did. Even so, boys and girls are still encouraged to interact with one another at traditional events. Such events like prom, cotillions, sweet 16s, and many social events, all having some dancing as a part of the recreation, were popularized by past generations. In participating in such activities today, many youth experience aversion to the opposite sex, combined with a degree of social awkwardness, not knowing what to do or how to behave. At the same time, children and youth who do dance have few partners to dance with because to know how is rare. This is the case for many of us. It certainly has been for my generation and for some of my mother's generation as well. On the other hand, my grandparents danced all the time. It was more than a pastime for them. It's what you did at most gatherings. They danced the swing, the foxtrot, and the waltz. They had parties and potlucks where dancing was always on the menu and expected by those in attendance. If you didn't know how to dance, you soon would. Like many others, however, I didn't dance growing up. At least not with any capability or rhythm to speak of, and I don't know anyone in any of my grades that did either. Looking back, it seems to me that it hadn't quite got its spark back from all the other activities coming about, such as the internet, computer and console games, cell phones, etc. There were of course other things too. Dance just wasn't one of them. Dance has made a comeback though. I've come to believe that you can never keep dance out of any culture for long. It is part of what the human spirit demands. Children dance instinctively to music playing on the radio, on TV, from the computer, and even cell phones. They still know what to do with music, if not yet how to make music. On this phenomena, the late 18th century English poet and philosopher S.T. Coleridge commented, "How inimitably graceful children are before they learn to dance." Dancers and great thinkers from all ages have commented on dance and its applications in the world. Agnes de Mille once said, "The truest expression of a people is in its dance and in its music." Ted Shaw wrote, "Dance is the only art of which we ourselves are the stuff of which it is made." And in an all-encompassing idea, Friedrich Nietzsche stated, "Dancing in all its forms cannot be excluded from the curriculum of all noble education. Dancing with the feet, with ideas, with words, and, need I add, that one must also dance with the pen." There are many strong ideas about dance. Dance, like so many arts, has a way of infusing a passion in us once we've started learning. So it is no surprise that my mother has often recalled stories that the most heated battles she ever remembered her parents having usually were over dance. She once told me, when they practiced, sometimes they would argue over the steps. This could sometimes escalate into battles. "You led that wrong," or "That's not the right step." When you find something you have a lot of passion for, it's easy to get carried away. The point is, dance is one thing to be passionate about, and passion is essential to bolster our efforts to achieve our potential. Some call dance freedom, and some call it joy. People might feel this way about an activity of the body for various reasons, which are often simple. The free-form secular dance styles, such as modern and contemporary dance, or even hip-hop, provide a unique opportunity to explore emotions using movement. This, to some, may represent a release of self in a way that can be described as freedom. The second thought on how dance is joy may stem simply from natural body responses to chemical reactions within the brain. Dancing has a tendency to make people happy. The increased heart rate associated with coordinated, full-body movement, combined with good music, stimulates the brain to release endorphins, bringing with them the sensation of joy. However, the description of dance as freedom or joy seems to entail a much more spiritual connotation than a simple analysis will serve to illustrate. Dance means different things to different people. For those who become serious dancers, each individual will discover a specific benefit it offers them, which is usually personal. Consider this statement from a friend of mine who gained her enthusiasm for dance quite a few years after her first introduction to it. Quote, "When I first danced, I was in a ballet class. I always loved to move to music, but it wasn't until college that I fell in love with dance. My first class was like a light went on. I knew then that dance was for me. I have learned that dance is a way to express myself. You can really put your emotion into it. It is the innermost part of you that will slowly come out to play." End quote. Daniel Rolee, student of ballroom dance. Everyone who pursues dance usually begins with a reason specific to their circumstances. My grandparents started to dance to spend more time together and with friends. My mother learned to dance as an escape from the stresses of work and a chance to do something different and fun with her spare time. I also have several reasons for making dance a part of my life, and those reasons become more defined as I continue. My getting involved in dance originally was no choice once my mother got involved with it. I tease that her enthusiasm for the art took hold of her in a way some experts might classify as a midlife crisis. Her passion spilled over to spark a minor craze in her neighborhood. She inspired many friends, family members, and co-workers to learn to dance. She has been dancing now for several years and tells everyone she meets about dance. They then gain a standing invitation to join a class. I was no exception, and being a male, often in short supply at dances, perhaps received some of the strongest encouragement of all. It didn't take long before I found myself enrolled in multiple classes, learning several varieties of partnership, social and ballroom dancing. That is essentially how I got involved, but I can say that I continued because dancing inspired a deep passion within me that so many others have also found. Some come for entertainment value and exercise, some to meet new people, others come to learn something new, and some come for a short while to learn a bit of dance for their upcoming event. Eventually, as people continue, they will come up with new reasons for doing so. As time goes on, those reasons continue to change until a person begins to attach dance in some small way to their desires, their dreams, and their passions. Dance from then on becomes a very important part of their lives. This will become more and more evident in subsequent chapters. Dance is a timeless venture that many people embark on, including many of my friends and acquaintances whom I have had the pleasure of meeting through my own dancing history. I have asked many of them to participate in this work, with their own thoughts on dancing, what it has meant to them, how they started, and also the reasons they continue to dance. Also included are thoughts from several professionals and great thinkers of our age who will help to clarify certain points. There are many reasons I continue to dance, which are not all the same reasons that got me started. Dancing is certainly fun, for one, but I also find that it allows me to spend time enjoying the company of many good people. Others will also find many good reasons to dance as well. Chapter 1. Self-Discovery. A smooth, sweet rhythm comes over the speakers. It's a jazzy tune of some other era that those so inclined would dance a foxtrot to. There's a moment of boy meets girl pause as the music finishes its interlude, moving into the main chorus. This isn't the first time they've met, but dancing for already a few hours of the evening has begun to take its toll. Tired or not, though, they look at each other, and she takes his hand. She asks, "Will you dance with me?" He says, "Yeah, just one more." Before you know it, he takes her in his arms, and they begin to glide and sway in pulsing weaves between the other partnerships. New energy alive and radiating from the music to each couple. He takes every moment or so to catch a glimpse of her while navigating the room, and both smile as they see each other. Their movement couldn't be more on with the beat, or with each other's feet. This narrative is one example of events that play out at social dance parties, or events that include dance as part of the venue. Dance is something for all ages, bearing particular significance to those who keep at it for a long span of time, taking lessons or engaging it in social events over a period of years. Those who feel inspired to get out on an open floor and show off a few moves or interact with a partner engage themselves in an experience filled with opportunity for growth and personal awakening. It's fun and energizing and speaks to people on an intimate level, getting them excited and wanting more. Dance does something to people. It does something to communities and cultures too. It is something that has been misunderstood for some generations of the past. The early to mid-American 20th century is one example. But dance as a part of human history from the time of early man has lasted and survived and thrived despite all prejudice and continental boundaries. There is a reason it is the most popular form of recreation handed down of all time. Quote, "Dance is a form of expression and release for that which is not as easily expressed in any other medium. I love it. It's all heart once you learn the movement. Anything that does not come out with words is expressed in movement." Unquote. Natalie Hansen from Napa, California, student of ballet and modern dance. During the early part of my career, I had the opportunity to meet many dancers, all of them from different backgrounds of dance training. Many, I found, used dance to help them fulfill something they believed to be lacking in their lives, or to satisfy desires they felt very strongly about. I knew one talented man who had been determined never to dance. During high school, however, there was a ballroom team with a lot of pretty girls on it. He started dancing and later got on that team. In contrast, a student of mine in the middle of her life captured my sympathy when she explained that her greatest hope was for a chance to prove that she could learn to dance. By so doing, she hoped to prove to herself and to one who consistently doubted her, putting her down, that she could in fact learn something new, though he called her incapable and dumb. Another dancer, whom I have the greatest respect for, used dance to overcome deeply rooted fears and mental anxieties that plagued many aspects of her life and prevented her from developing more independence. Sometimes, the reason someone starts dancing changes. Along the way, they find their priorities have shifted and their desires are no longer toward their original purpose for starting. They then have to redefine their purpose in dance to suit a new goal, or they will stop completely and go on to something else. For instance, each one of the individuals mentioned above now dance for different reasons. The first still enjoys dancing, but now he is married, and to a beautiful woman who also dances. He tells me that what keeps him dancing now is about the excitement and energy he feels when performing. The student who wanted to prove she could learn found that not only could she, but that she was just as capable as anyone else. She has since moved on to other areas of interest with new confidence, knowing that she is not impaired as one judgmental person in her life would have had her believe. And the last individual, after a couple years of training and performance, did overcome her anxieties and now uses dance more for enjoyment and exercise. She made a lot of friends at dances and group classes she attended. Now she feels that dance is a tool to help keep her strong and healthy, both in mind and in body. In each circumstance, a change took place, allowing each to consider a new set of perspectives. Change comes as a necessary activity of our lives, because growing only makes the heights of our potential to reach increase, and achieving ever shows us just how far it is we've still to go. Quote, "Alas, our dancing days are no more. We wish, however, all those who have a relish for so agreeable and innocent an amusement, all the pleasure the season will afford them." Unquote. George Washington, first President of the United States, in a letter to the Assembly in Alexandria, November 12, 1799. Why do people get so excited about dance? This isn't a question that is answered in any simple term. There are many reasons. We, however, may start with the idea that for a dancer, dance is a part of life, a part of dreams, and can be a part of personal identity. This is with the understanding that identity is a very personal element to a person's life. Personal identity is a consciousness in individuals that they will struggle to maintain and fight vigorously to defend, all the while redefining it with each passing year. Many people spend their lives trying to create and shape their personal identity. For many, life is centered on facets of identity in peer groups, achievements, or family and social-related activities. But sometimes these markers of identity hold little value to an individual or cannot provide the interest and fulfillment that a person feels they need. Some peer groups lack similar values or are degrading to a person's identity. Sometimes achievements are small or do not demonstrate the full potential of an individual, and so are unfulfilling. And sometimes achievements may be absent from a person's life altogether. It also can be that a person may be without family or their social life is limited because of circumstances beyond their control. Of those who may be lacking in these things, I've heard it said that, "I need to travel abroad to find myself," or "I need to get out in the world and experience it to know who I am." These people feel the need to get out of their box of identity, to build more definition, and find personal fulfillment in order to know who they are. This difficulty with identity, knowing ourselves, finding who we are, is addressed in our discussion for a number of reasons. For one, it is a question that is never diminished, but is renewed with the rising of each generation, and is as old as time. For our discussion, dealing with the problem of identity, involves a different question. What am I doing? The transition here is necessary because many seekers of self-identity already know what it is they need, in that they are going out to get it or find it, as the statement, "I need to travel to find myself," indicates. However, it is often the case that we may not know how to find ourselves despite knowing where to find ourselves. This indicates that self-identity could exist right under our noses. In fact, it could be right in what we are doing with ourselves in our day-to-day rituals and performances. Where we are found is in experience. This is what is needed, not the self. We have ourselves. We are actually very difficult things to misplace, believe it or not, because we are always with ourselves. But the extension of self, as we perceive it, being autonomous individuals, comes from what we are doing, or in other words, our experience. That is why some seek after some adventure or big event when looking for themselves. It is in such events that experience commonly abounds, and where lives changed most significantly. Or at least, that is what many people hope it will do. People looking for themselves are looking for a change that will allow them to get out of the mundane and common practices that have been their lives, and find something more suited to who they want to be. This is something we all desire, satisfaction within our existence. These kinds of desires lead people down many paths and into many new and interesting experiences. Some, wouldn't you know it, even end up dancing. But as the late Irish playwright and literary Nobel Prize recipient George Bernard Shaw once wrote, quote, "Life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself," unquote. Creating ourselves requires putting ourselves in positions where quality experience may better take hold of us and change our circumstances. But it can still be a problem finding the right experience to initiate the desired change. Many who return home from their travels and self-discovery adventures find themselves back doing exactly what they were doing before they left. When the time for vacation has expired and the flight miles have run out, all that most people find they are able to do is go back to the unfulfilling lifestyle they came from. So herein may lay another problem. Many people really feel that they are in some way lost and cannot find themselves. Many spend much of their whole life in this state of lost and don't know how to fix it. They think they must go out and find themselves. That is the obvious conclusion to come to. And then after looking for some time, in all the wrong places, they get stuck, unable to look any further. It's just that this going out to find the self doesn't always work the way most feel it should. As Augustus and Julius Hare put it in their work, Guesses at Truth, quote, "Seeking is not always the way to find," unquote, 1827. There are also those who hardly look at all. It's true, much of my generation and the next, and likely the one that follows, will be wasted on video and computer games, TV and reality shows, and movies, than on any actual living, when truly it is in the time spent learning about the world and its people, as well as self-discovery through activity and the discipline of practice that teach us best who we are, than any other activity comes close to matching. May Sarton, an American poet and novelist, once wrote, quote, "One does not find oneself by pursuing oneself, but on the contrary, by pursuing something else and learning through some discipline or routine who one is and wants to be." Unquote. So it is that we must seek to discover what we are capable of doing with our talents and develop those abilities we have each been blessed with. In this, we give purpose and meaning to our lives. Now, to bring dance into this may seem a bit funny. By itself, it is not something we think of as offering much purpose to a person's life, but is rightly thought of as an activity in supplement to life. But then again, it is by activity that we gain the experience we are looking for to discover ourselves. And dance is unique in its ability to demand the focus of all the senses of the body, incorporating its extremities in an infinite exchange of gesture. By this, we may well say that dance, in all its propensities, is an activity of self-discovery, an action of self-discipline, an exploration of the soul of man. In dance, many do find some of the potential they have toward a certain purpose through the practice of self-discovery and development of identity attributes. In essence, dance is one way to gain experience that will allow us to better understand who we are. There is no place we can run to, or anything that can be touched physically that can bring about a change in life to self-discovery. Rather, it is a product of what we are engaged in doing that will bring about changes. Change only comes by the purpose we give ourselves, and purpose is the only thing that harbors the identity we seek. But purpose cannot be found in every activity. Purpose is defined by what brings meaning and value to a person's life. But there are also deceptive purposes, which fall short of value, taking on the form of things we do to fill up our time. They are activities with little significance or meaning. They take the place of ambitions and cause us to settle for less than our potential. TV is one of the simple and most frequent forms of deceptive purpose. It offers a diversion, by nature, from stresses and problems, but holds little value. Many people schedule their lives around reality game shows, soap operas, science fiction, mystery, and crime programs that air once or twice a week. These shows are designed for momentary pleasure and involve repetitive, overdone plot forms played out in sequential scenarios. People usually end up spending more time than they had intended to in complacent vegetation. Then there is the gaming industry, which is similar to television, but with an interactive component. This is an industry that rivals sales in music and film every year as millions play out fantasies in simulated worlds, providing hours of stimulation available at a moment's notice. Most even go as far as promising the player a new experience every day. Other kinds of deceptive purpose take the form of hobbies that interfere with obligations. Some can be found in collections that dominate space and functionality, or habits that coerce, usurping power over the author of conception. These are a few. Even jobs, though, can be debilitating with deceptive purpose by forced settlement into careers we care nothing about, or when we find ourselves working towards someone else's dreams and goals, not our own. The late American author, philosopher, and civil rights leader Howard Thurman once stated, "There is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have, and if you cannot hear it, you will all your life spend your days on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls." End quote. Where dance is concerned, deceptive purposes can also take hold in the art form. Dancing provides an opportunity for the dancer to step outside the self and surrender their own purpose while donning a temporary identity within the character of a dance, which, in short, is like being handed a new identity and a new purpose. Every dance has its own character, which we will get into more later on. So, dance is a great place for people to explore themselves more deeply. The dancer, in the art of dancing, uses their own body to illustrate feeling, emotion, thought, memory, passion, ideas, and much more. But there are limits to each dancer's individual abilities. Each dancer has to express concepts with different movements and with different style, not just because each dancer will feel differently about a topic, but because each dancer's bodily design predetermines movement appropriate to use in expressing the dance. An advanced dancer may use elaborate patterning with great dynamics added to express their thoughts, while another less experienced dancer may do just as good a job using simpler patterns and choreography. But if the two dancers were to switch roles and perform the dance of the other, you may feel that the less experienced dancer looks rather silly and incompetent while performing the routine of the more advanced dancer, while on the other hand, the advanced dancer you might think isn't trying, as though the routine were stale and the dancer without feeling. In similar form, dancers of all abilities and backgrounds try to perform at levels they have not fully developed, or cheat themselves by practicing below their ability, or worse. Some dancers try to mimic behaviors and patterns of other dancers without understanding the intent behind the original movement. Such mistakes come out when a dancer performs oddly, expressing movements like feeling the body in exaggerated caresses, reaching off into distant nowhere, choreographing away from the stage, not to the audience, or performing above a partner's ability. Other problems come about as some dancers try their hand at experimenting with movement. As in all art forms, there is a significant need and stress towards the development of talents through what's called the creative process. However, the process of creation through creativity can become misplaced as the dancer begins using the creative exploration as the end result to practice, rather than as the means by which to lift ability and predefined motion to a new and more beautiful expression. Many modern dancers find themselves in such places. Since this form of dance has so little structure to it, it is assumed by even some of the more experienced dancers that anything that involves the body, no matter how stretched the choreography is in reaching for some kind of meaning or quickly thought up design, must be good dancing. Such performances that I've seen look silly and can even be uncomfortable to watch. Sometimes such behavior is mistaken for quality dancing, usually by uneducated audience members or the performers themselves who think too highly of their work as a poetic expression, or a juxtaposition toward other art pieces such as a canvas splattered with paint. However, there are many poets that write clever things and can come up with a rhyme quickly and on the spot, but who are never remembered because they didn't ever take time to develop their thoughts on a subject that would allow their talent to reach its potential. Their words can sound good and for a moment seem inspiring, but the words, when heard again, mean absolutely nothing, and you come away feeling gypped. Also, anyone can throw paint at a board and call it art. But there is a difference between quality work that drives a person and others towards an end that is inspiring and fulfilling, and work that belongs in a dump heap. Such dancers have no real reference for their opinion of themselves or their work, which usually results in less than encouraging expectations towards a dance style, and giving a dance a bad reputation, which was the case for modern and contemporary dance in its early years of development. Dancers need to know their limits and understand what appropriate movement is for a dance, and what purpose each movement holds for a dance. Movement performed without this understanding always lacks intent and fails to express any distinct or accurate purpose. Movements thought to express a deeper feeling or impersonate better dancers are actions of deceptive purpose because they are done without understanding and are a mark of inexperience. A song may possess a catchy rhyme and rhythm. It can have all the things you love in it that make you feel good, relaxed, excited, or want to dance. We listen to it again and again, but after a while it loses its appeal. Why? The song never changed, but our understanding of it did. With repetition, we become more aware of the music and can start asking, do those lyrics even make sense? Did I hear that right? What is with that irritating, flat, squeaky high note in the middle of the chorus? And who actually allowed this to be produced and sold on the shelves? These things don't matter so much as long as the sound is popular and just catchy enough to get people's attention for a few months. In all art forms, there are pretenders, and others who try very hard but just can't quite make the cut. Their work lacks the quality that really touches people and gives them something to hold on to and remember. In parallel, we do so much without knowing why. We give little thought to actions and behaviors we do regularly and ignore our own idiosyncrasies, following the paths that everyone else has taken. We lose ourselves in routine and blame others when things go wrong. We get lost in habits and traditions. We function in patterns that were shaped by generations past and refuse to accept new understandings begotten by better reasoning, and all for the sake of teachings born out of ignorance, hearsay, or pretended authority. We fail to do the work it takes to open our minds to consider where our ideas and opinions have come from, or why they are so important to us. To addressing the deceptive purpose in our lives, we need to understand that it is not up to anyone to provide purpose for us. It is up to each and every individual to discover what their purpose should be. To each is given talent, which is the potential we have in every ability. It is discovered by consistent devotion to activities that promote the self to greater ability and understanding, where we work to build our strengths to greater and greater levels of development. This self-promotion, as I like to call it, is a concept understood by every dancer. A dancer dances and develops their abilities as a dancer, in self-promotion, obtaining greater physical abilities to achieve what they desire most. Dancers deal with the problem of the deceptive purpose with practice and instruction. In essence, the dancer is trying all the time to get more experience and more knowledge about the subject of dance so that they will be better able to do what they do with increased capabilities. To use other words, the dancer dances to find the dancer within. The life lesson in this is that we must do what we know we can do. We need to always practice our abilities and make them strong. No one can give meaningful purpose. It is something that has to be worked for by ourselves. And when we are engaged in good activities, we gain the experience we need to better define ourselves. Dancers are only defined by what they are capable of, the same as any of us. When we don't know what we are capable of doing, we feel we are lost, but we do not have to stay lost for long. Dance has been for many a tool to help find the self by providing some degree of purpose, as well as a temporary identity within the character of a dance to build off of through the promotion of current self. Learning several dance styles allows a person to explore many identities until they find one that they feel well suited to. When we are not dancing, we can still do this by exploring the many qualities of life the world has to offer. All that's left is getting the motivation to step out the door and try something new and different. Get engaged in uplifting and challenging activities, no matter what they are. This is the way to find the self and growing as an individual. Joe Codert, self-help author, said, "For you cannot live in someone else. You cannot find yourself in someone else. You cannot be given a life by someone else. Of all the people you will know in a lifetime, you are the only one you will never leave or lose." Unquote.